Hello, welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. Today we're doing part 6 of Who the Fuck Are the West Memphis 3 with Jacob of the Rise to Liberty podcast. We'll be getting into today, probably covering maybe roughly half of the arguments, the main arguments people tend to make from Innocence for the West Memphis 3. And obviously the next episode we should cover that. And then the other half, so... with that, though, if you like what you see with this show, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you can see when we're dropping new shows and when we're going live. We'll see you in the show. Welcome back, Jacob. You're ready to get into it again?
Yes, sir. Always. I'm
All right,
always ready to talk about the West Memphis 3.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess we can go ahead and jump right back into it. I just actually dropped our Q&A episode recently publicly. So just letting you get just a little another foreshadowing that we will be doing that again in the future for those who want to drop more comments. Especially for today's episode, I have a feeling that you might be once again some more irate people providing their own responses for whatever minutia, which great, just provides more content for future episodes. So we'll be covering those again. We're going to probably every 1, 2, or 3 episodes, depending on what makes the most sense for the way we're trying to tell the story. We will kind of drop those periodically. So pop in for that. And this kind of feels like a natural follow-up to that. We're going to kind of lean into some of the arguments from Innocence. It's in some senses kind of reformulating a little bit of what a lot of the comments were, since that seems to be what a lot of people get hung up on. Were they innocent? Were they not? People have strong opinions on that. And so within this episode, the next episode, and I think the episode after that will be really kind of exploring. It's kind of almost, these are a little bit of a trilogy. We'll be kind of talking about almost like propaganda. It's kind of in how it's formed, but kind of starting off with, though, like kind of, I guess we'll be working backwards a little bit. We start from the arguments and then get into how the hell they got there in the first place. So wherever you want to start, Jacob, we can go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first argument to probably tackle is probably just right at the beginning of all of this mess to begin with, and that's Jesse's confessions. So the confessions, the 8 of them in total. Okay. So, and we covered all of those, in rather great detail, in my opinion. So just for anyone watching, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out the argument, probably a bit pedantically, because honestly, I'm sick of arguing these, but I will be fair. So if anyone has an issue with that, whatever, put it down in the comments. We'll address it later. But so the common argument that is made regarding Jesse's confessions, especially the very first one. This is, or not the Buddy Lucas confession, but the first confession to the police is the one that everyone kind of gets hung up on. And the claim is that Jesse was interrogated for 10 plus hours. And not only that, but he was interrogated by aggressive police officers who fed him information, made him, or basically forced suggestions. They usually argue that Jesse has a low IQ, And Jessie basically just told the police officers what they wanted to hear so he could get out. And the confession is unreliable and should be thrown out. So, I mean, these are the common arguments. So, the biggest problems with this argument, number one, Jessie kept confessing. I mean, he confessed. So they were post-conviction confessions, most of them. So these largely, like, if he was innocent, okay, let's see. So if the June 3rd confession was coerced, why did Jessie confess 7 more times over the next 17 months? Just to recap a little bit, he confessed to the transport deputies the day after his conviction. No police pressure, nothing to gain. Confessed to his own attorney, Dan Stidham, with his hand on a Bible, which means some to some people, doesn't mean shit to others, whatever. But no police present for that. 2 prosecutors in February of 1994, already convicted, no benefit. And he confessed once again to cellmate Daniel Johnson in October of 1994. So if he's innocent, if he was coerced, why did he keep doing it? Like that just doesn't make sense. You're telling me that low IQ, he just keeps confessing to something he didn't do? Like, that's absurd. That is such an absurd claim to make. I don't
That's how
even
dramatic the coercion was, Jacob.
Right. That's how intense it was. He was just straight traumatized.
Yep, just going. They say trauma cycles. He was going through. He just kind of come and go. You know, every now and then it comes back
Right.
around. He's got to get a confession out of his system. So that they started the trauma cycle. No, it is ridiculous. You know, obviously I'm by no means. A lot of people got a little bit. You know, some people have given me some guff about it that I haven't really dug into this too much. But I'm trying to have that perspective. But you know, as someone just as a layman looking in. Obviously being led by you a little bit. Maybe if I had a different guest, perhaps I'd be like, okay, but like,
I mean, hey, but I'm not
that's pretty
hiding my
damning.
position. I'm not hiding my position at
Yeah.
all. They're guilty as sin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm not hiding my motive here.
Yeah, but it is pretty damning. So it's like I don't really know
Right.
know what a good rebuttal for that is. Like, I mean, it
Right.
does seem like a ridiculous amount of confessions. So, and we
Right.
did cover that in episode 2, I believe. So, or part 2 for those who want to really get into the minutia of the specific confessions. But they were
Right.
varied in varying degrees and to different people. And it was like, I really don't know what more you can want. I get it. You really people want strong physical evidence, but there does become a certain threshold of non-physical evidence where you're like, come on the fuck on.
Here's the biggest issue, though. Confessions are primary source evidence, period. They always are. They always have been. Always. That in criminal proceedings in court, they are primary evidence, period. So you want primary sources? Jessie was there. He was there.
He is the physical evidence.
Yeah, exactly. So there it is. There's the physical evidence. Now, this actually dovetails perfectly into the issue number 2 with these arguments. And that's in every confession, there were details that only the killer would have known. Period. So, and just to run through these real quick, first and foremost, he knew that Michael Moore was not mutilated. Now, when he gave that confession, that was not known to the public at all. So, you know, I mean, there's now 2 people who have made statements at the point of this confession where 2 people have given details to the police on record. Him and Damien Echols both gave details about the crime that were not known publicly. So
yeah, which we covered those in part 3. We went into more detail of non-physical evidence and all this specific stuff. Very much alluding to knowledge that no one else would have been able to have. Very much gloating in some of it too as well.
Right. So Michael Moore wasn't mutilated. Out of 3 boys, Jessie correctly identified which one had no genital injuries. How would police feed him this when the autopsy wasn't even public? So interesting. Okay. I've heard people argue this and they say, oh, he guessed. Okay, he's the luckiest guesser ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, I think we goofed about that the previous episode. It's like that is a who. Yeah, of course. You find a boy in the woods. Of course, his nuts are mutilated or whatever. I forget the specifics of whatever happened to him,
right,
but it's such a bizarre, morbid thing that who the hell would just think of that? That's
right,
like, oh yeah, dead kids in the woods. Obviously, their genitals have been mutilated. You're like, what?
right. So, and then Jessie was also correct about the cleanup method. Jessie described wiping blood with sticks in a zigzag motion, which is exactly what they found at the crime scene. This matched the luminol patterns exactly. Police didn't know this detail when he confessed. So the police later went back to the crime scene after this confession to go check the luminol patterns, and that's what they found. I mean, that's wild. Like, how would he know that when the police don't? Okay. There was a phone call at 9 p.m. Jessie said Jason called him at 9 p.m. asking why he left. Lee Rush, father's girlfriend, confirmed that Jessie received a call around 9 p.m. and was extremely upset after. Okay, so I mean, we have secondary corroboration about this phone call, and I believe Jason actually admitted to this phone call, although I don't believe he admitted. If I remember correctly, Jason did not admit to what the phone call was about, but did admit to calling Jessie at 9 p.m. But somebody else has corroborated that Jessie was incredibly upset about this after. Michael was in his Cub Scout uniform. Jessie told his attorney the boy he chased wore a Boy Scout uniform. Now, granted, this isn't like a super damning detail because this would have been post-conviction. But, I mean, these are all just details that he's like remembering. And why would he confess to that? Like, once again, granted, it's post-conviction, so it's not like, oh, he knew this information before. But he's still saying that post-conviction, the boy I chased wore a Boy Scout uniform. That doesn't make sense. So he's just like damning himself even more. Like, he's giving them more detail. Like, so he knows that Michael Moore wore his Cub Scout uniform, and then he just admits to chasing him. That doesn't. I thought he was innocent. That doesn't make sense. You know?
Yeah, that is weird. That's definitely beyond weird. Another weird guess. Although that's something that I guess you're saying post conviction that maybe you somehow could have found that information out somewhere.
Right.
But even so, still weird. So it comes off as a guess.
Yeah. Well, why would he admit to chasing somebody? Yeah. Why would he admit to chasing somebody in a Boy Scout uniform if he didn't do it? I mean, once again, this is post-conviction. This is nothing to gain. He has no way to get out of this. He's going to prison, you know? So it doesn't make sense. And then Stevie's left side face wound. Jessie pointed to the left side of his face when describing the cut. Stevie Branch had a massive wound on the left side of his face. Now, this was in the police interrogation. So how would he know that detail?
Well, now isn't the cope? I vaguely recall that the cope kind of I've seen from some people seems to be like the implication there's some sort of larger thing going on, which I'm obviously open to that idea.
Right.
And maybe this would be a situation where perhaps maybe they aren't entirely innocent, or there might be varying degrees depending on. So it could be something where they're caught in some sort of thing where maybe they didn't do it, but they know it, or they're somehow being coerced by some outside group to take the fall or this or that. So like what is the cope here? Because like, I mean, how do we find, I feel like you have to make a pretty grand conspiracy, which I'm open to grand conspiracies being true. But you know, what is the going speculation here? And even then, while I'm open to speculating, to some degree, it doesn't necessarily have to be based on evidence per se, but at least has to be grounded on, I don't know, something that seems probable or something that seems likely, or at least some grain of evidence to be like, okay, there's something here. I guess you can speculate, but you just got to be like, this is totally speculation. Right. But to be pretty overly confident this is the case, you would think one would need to construct some sort of grand conspiracy or something, or maybe I'm
Right.
wrong. I don't know. What do you think?
So okay, my overall arching opinion about this whole entire case is that there was most likely, I'm not like 100% sold on this, but most likely I do believe that there was like a larger group at play. But I think this was like an initiation, or like this was like something to like bring them to the next level, but specifically Damien, because Damien is the one that's in charge of these three. Jason is like a puppy dog. Fucking loves Damien. Well, apparently not now. I just learned recently that they've had a falling out over the last year or something. I don't know, some gay buddy stuff. I don't know what the hell it is. Damien Echols blocked me, so but yeah, it's at the time Jason Baldwin was like infatuated with Damien. So he was a hanger on. I mean, he helped him and his ex-girlfriend run away, helped hide them, like all sorts of stuff. Jessie Misskelley, I think he was really just kind of your average troublemaker that kind of just got wrapped up in it. But I do think that they were there. And I do think that this happened. And regardless of if they were put up to it or not, they still did it. So my response to like the grander conspiracy, sure.
Yeah.
I'm open to that. But they still did it.
Yeah.
So, it's like I do think that there is, though. I don't believe that Damien didn't learn this from somewhere. I don't believe that he was acting on his own recognizance, just by himself, lone wolf. Like,
you don't think he just was imbibing Aleister Crowley books and kind of came to this conclusion on his own? I mean, in all seriousness, that would be the lone wolf thing. I mean, if you were to try to make a conspiracy here, you could say, I mean, there is a tradition of such a thing. I know a lot of people tried to say with Crowley's work, tried to interpret it as being metaphors or this or that, but he's gone to some pretty dark stuff in some of his work.
It's
and you're
pretty
like,
straightforward.
I don't think he's being poetic here. In some of his stuff.
So that's what people that are either ignorant of like Satanism talk about, or people who are intentionally trying to deceive. Because, and I always reference the section in the Satanic Bible about human sacrifice. So in the first couple of pages, there's a paragraph that talks about the reason why a Satanist would never sacrifice another human being is because it's illegal. Like, first of all, that's their justification. In the same paragraph, the very same paragraph, I believe it's the next sentence, they say, unless somebody deems them worthy to be sacrificed. So they're literally speaking out of both sides of their mouth. Like, don't ever do it. It's illegal. Go ahead and do it if you find it morally justified.
Well, even that sounds like if it's deemed by some sort of larger group is what it sounds like the implication is there almost, which is a common thing we see. You see Scientology has what, I forget what they call the term when they green light essentially destroying anyone's life by anyone's means, any means necessary by the whole group. I mean, you got 76409A, they call them like opfers, and it's a pretty common that they have this archetype of the dupe essentially.
Well, here's the thing too to understand about Satanism is that one of the main tenets, one of the main belief systems is moral relativism. Like, you just make up your own morals, you really do, because the very first thing, the very first core belief is egoism. It's all about self. That's it. You are a god. Yeah. So it's like, and then once you believe that you are a god, everyone else is beneath you. And for anyone who doesn't know, Satanists will call the normies, non-Satanists, they'll call them the dead. Okay? And they call them the dead because they are so not awake to what is happening. They believe that these people are so brainwashed and they're so asleep that they might as well be dead. So NPCs. It's just right, exactly. So
you can dehumanize them, which there's truth to the concept somewhat of like the NPCs, and people are kind of normies and the level of a certain level of raising of the consciousness for certain. There's like almost where to some degree you kind of are, but you're still not, and you don't get to murder these people or whatever, because people do, people change, people increase their awareness or they don't. I mean, and there's nothing necessarily even wrong with being at that place, because some people are just concerned with their immediate circumstances and aren't concerned with lofty thinking outside of themselves. I do always like to put a note into with the with this thing. I always like to, for those who follow my show long enough, I actually consider myself an egoist. I consider myself technically a moral relativist. I just look at it as like, this is like, I guess, a dumb version of it. Like, this is the high time preference version, because like, despite, even if you do see yourself, if you do prioritize things from your perspective, you still want to lead a wholesome life, and you want to do things that benefit you and those around you. Like, you don't, while you may find it is kind of this counterintuitive thing, 'cause people think of selfishness or being self-centered, but go ahead. Yeah.
There's two more parts to this, though, to make it Satanism.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And that's social Darwinism, so survival of the fittest, which is really the tipping point, okay? Because I agree, right? Like, you should take care of yourself, because if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of anyone else. Like, I come first, period.
And if you've ever read like Stirner's works, like he like conceptualizes stuff like, say, love for others, is that like you should want to, like, you shouldn't be obligated to love someone. So this idea that like, so it should be coming from a place of, I guess, maybe selfishness isn't the appropriate word, because you should want to, like, if you're taking care of your children out of obligation, I mean, I guess keep doing it so they keep surviving, but really, ideally, you should be doing it because you want to.
Well, see, this is actually what drew me to Satanism, okay? Like, when I first heard about it when I was a dumb 20-year-old, because in my mind, like, an ethical egoist was the way that I would explain it, because I would do the things that made me happy, and what made me happy was making my family and my friends happy. So for me, it worked for me. But then I also didn't hold, so I did hold the social Darwinism like idea, and the moral relativist, I don't know, I go back and forth on that, but like the social Darwinism, I would totally step on people if it meant that I got further. Like, I had no problem with it, none. And then the fourth tenet that really makes it Satanism, and this is the part of the Satanism that I'm not too proud of, but it's eugenics. Period. If you are not if you're not with me, you're beneath me, and if you're beneath me, you're worse than cattle. Cattle are valuable. You're not, like, and you deserve to be killed off. So the eugenics part is really kind of what seals the deal to make it Satanism. And it's all four of these tenets together as one unified belief.
And I don't know. I mean, there might be other ways to understand it too. It does feel like a component is missing in these people, and that like they're searching, they're chasing after something, when it's like they're trying to fight human nature and be like, I'm above it, and I'm above these human ideals or whatever. And you're like, but like, even if you want to be super materialistic about it, you're like, if you have the belief that we evolved and we've been around for a million years, it's like, we've developed to be this way. This is what generally makes people happy. If you're fighting in it so you can just come in models or whatever, every other day, and do very dubiously moral things. It's like, you might find that doesn't necessarily serve you in the long run. It's fun for a short period of time, but it's not gonna. I don't know. And these people then find it themselves chasing legacy and getting very, which is chasing yourself. Whereas there's ways to twist those things to make them different. So instead of trying to find the whole world's appreciation and create some sort of grand spectacle legacy, you can get that very same satisfaction from things like children. So like that is your legacy. That is, and I think it's far more wholesome in this idea of like imbuing your care into something more localized, something that would actually care for you back, as opposed to some Bill Gates like, I will do philanthropy for the world or whatever, and they'll be, that's will be my legacy. That's where I'll get my, love, my whatever. And it's like, that's kind of an empty thing. And your legacy kind of, and I think in a weird way, it honestly kind of, your legacy sort of dies in a way. It's like tarnished. So like, it's like I don't know. Bill Gates will be forgotten, and I mean all of us will be forgotten, but like Bill Gates will be forgotten, and he'll be. And when people think like he doesn't have people who love him, so there's not going to be.
Right.
I mean, maybe he does, but I guess you get what I mean. It's just a different. It's like there's something missing, and which I guess this could be. You know, it gets you to a deeper level.
Well,
I guess not to
this
get it
is-
on a different episode, but it's the trauma cycle. So these people are
It kind
a
of
lot
is.
of times people that went through had weird childhoods themselves, and
Right.
so it's just kind of this cycle that repeats itself, and so they're just missing one little thing, and they're chasing after that drug, chasing the dragon.
I mean, that is some of it, but that's not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all of them. You know, it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it does kind of just all. I don't know. This is what's so scary about it, though, is because it doesn't matter why people are doing it. It doesn't like ultimately matter their motivations or whatever, but the very fact of placing yourself above others and then dehumanizing others that you are above to the point of them being like lower than dogs. I mean, when has that ever benefited humanity ever by doing that? Like look at any communist country ever. You know, it's like it's what it is. And when I just think that level of dehumanization on top of the social Darwinism, on top of the moral relativism, on top of the egoism, it's a dangerous combination.
100%.
And it's especially like when you're a young and impressionable like 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Of course you could be talked into doing something like this.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's story officially starts in his early 20s at the Dalton School. So it's like, I mean, obviously they probably got their hands on him earlier, but I mean, even just think about how impressionable you are in your early 20s.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, to kind of come full circle back to your question, I do think there is a larger grand conspiracy here. I do not believe that the cops had it out for these kids. I do not believe that that is the conspiracy, that these cops just wanted to frame these kids. That's fucking bullshit. They investigated this an entire month, like full force, mind you, public pressure. Okay. Every single day, public pressure. So for 30 days, and the amount of investigation that they did, I mean, it's all fairly public, and you just have to look at it. You have to see who they talked to, who they interviewed. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people they talked to. They chased down every single lead that they possibly could. And then you're telling me that they just wanted to give up and just pick the three guys that just where two out of the three just knew some shit about the crime scene beforehand. What are the fucking odds of that? Like, and then you're picking like the one like genuinely satanic kid in like, why would you do that? Here's the thing. I don't see the other side. I don't see the benefit. Putting it away, that didn't stop anything. It didn't heal the community, them doing this. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that the cops were like, oh, well, we'll just frame these three kids and that will be the end of it. It wasn't even the end of it when they were in prison.
All right. We've gone up to number 2. So what's the number 3 argument for innocence?
Let's see. Let me get there real quick. So, I got to move down. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is actually a great argument. A great breakdown of an argument is what I meant. So, there is no physical evidence, right? Like this is the claim. So
we hear a lot. Yeah.
There is no DNA, no fingerprints, no murder weapon, no physical evidence linking Damien, Jessie, or Jason to the crime. The case is built entirely on coerced confession. Well, we just covered the coerced confession thing. You know, I mean, people are still going to have the opinions about this, but I'm sorry, they're dumb opinions. I don't know what to tell people about that. Okay, so the problem or multiple problems with this argument, like lots of issues with this. Well, first of all, physical evidence does exist. There's 2 pieces of blood evidence. Damien's necklace, which was like a little battle axe necklace. It was about like 3.5 inches. It was taken from from his room, I believe. I don't believe they took it off him. They found it in his room. I believe that's what one of the search warrants say. Damien's necklace had 2 types of blood. The testing with the blood, even as of 2011, was blood that was consistent with Damien's and blood that was consistent with Stevie Branch. So now that's not a dead ringer, you know, but this is a data point that you have to consider in all of this. Now,
and the strength of all the other evidence too.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, Jesse's clothing, there was type O blood. Jesse and Michael Moore both have type O blood. So
isn't O like one of the rarest ones too, or am I misremembering that?
I think so, or maybe it's O negative.
Yeah, I just think it's no negative now that I think about it, but yeah.
But yeah, so there was, I mean, I do know, or maybe type O is like the most common, and then O negative's the least. I don't know. But nonetheless, I mean, there was type O blood.
No, it's not
found on Jesse's clothing.
Neither of them are really. I just looked it up real quick, and they don't even come up in like the top 4. So, anyways,
interesting.
maybe I'm wrong. It was just a quick Google search, and the AI one. The AI is commonly wrong. So, but whatever. Go on.
So there's fiber evidence. Now, this one I'm not like super jazzed about.
Yeah, notoriously shit. Read Program to Kill.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But there was green polyester fiber on Michael's Club Scout cap, which matched Damien's shirt. Red rayon fiber on victim matched Jason's mother's red robe. This one I've never understood.
Real quick, I want to take a second just to point out to the audience why it's so shit when you're doing fiber evidence. Like, just take a moment just to think. If we were to assume, bad motivations on the place of the law enforcement, which of course we would never ever do that. Just think about how easy it would be just to take a little tweezer and grab a fiber from somewhere and just go, oh shit, look, there's a fiber here. And so it's one of those things that you could easily, like, it's also one of those things you could probably conceal. I mean, like, even if you were trying to, like, you could hide a fiber in your hand and easily bring it to a crime scene. Like, it's just one of those things that, like, for some reason, there was a period of time where they started making a big deal out of fiber evidence. Yeah, but sorry, go ahead.
So now here is the other side of it. It, once again, it's just a data point to take into consideration, because there were several expert testimonies given about the fiber evidence, and all but one said that they were microscopically and chemically consistent. So, I mean, if it means something to you, good. It's the weakest evidence, in my opinion. I think the blood evidence is far stronger. Now, there's also weapon evidence. There was a knife recovered from the lake behind Jason's trailer. The serrated
Which didn't they say something about it too? Like that was one of the ones I think they made predictions or said or something or alluded to. I forget. Sorry, you might be getting ahead of you there, but go ahead.
So the serrated edge was consistent with Stevie's facial wounds.
Okay.
So the missing compass was consistent with injury patterns on Michael Moore. There we've gone over the wound that was on Michael Moore's head.
Yeah, which if anyone's had any tools that have compasses in them, sometimes you have those like multi-tools.
Yep.
They'll have the little thing on the bottom, and if you do break open a compass, it has a little like thing. So it looks like you got hit with it, and you can kind of see the perfect little. Anyone who's had it, you can see this little that center piece of the compass is actually like literally like a needle that kind of is actually sharp.
Yep.
So if you did break the glass, it would. So you could see a very distinct, like unique little point in the middle, and then kind of
size.
So it's exactly. It's like you see it and you're like, oh, okay. Especially, but yeah, go ahead.
Right. Well, and these are some of the wounds on the 3 kids that people point to and say it was animal predation. Get the fuck out of here. There were no animals found in that fucking in that drainage ditch. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Going with the old tried and true Mena, Arkansas alibis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then here's the thing too, is when they found the knife, there was no compass. Okay.
Weird.
Yeah. Now, on top of that, there's also witness testimony about the weapon. Witnesses saw Jason Baldwin with a Rambo knife, and his mother was the one that threw it in the lake. based upon witnesses. So, okay. Now I kind of go back and forth on this evidence, but I do think it is, um, it is super important to at least address. So there was blue candle wax, on Stevie's shirt that directly matched from candles found in Damien and Dominique's possession. Dominique being his girlfriend at the time. So, I mean, on one hand, it's like, well, yeah, they had blue candles. I would expect them to, because of what they're into.
It's also like, if they're saying it's a match, I mean, I don't know enough about matching candles. Like,
right.
I mean, I would assume that they're pretty distinct, but like, I don't know if I got the same two candles from like Yankee Candle, the same exact flavor or smell or whatever. Are they going to be distinct? Like, are you going to be able to match the specific wax content or whatever to each? I don't know. These are questions I don't know, and I would be fully open to this being weak evidence. I mean, part of me feels like it could be strong evidence. I don't know what degree they can do analysis on these sort of things. I mean, I would think even with the same brand, if you could get some sort of thing that can, analyze it, everything is going to be slightly different. Although I guess they're probably made in batches, so maybe not actually.
Well, my thing was, it's like, what are the odds that somebody else would have a candle?
Yeah.
But what makes me kind of believe it is that it was specifically blue wax. I mean, so I could kind of go either way on this. It is weird. Like, why the fuck would they have blue wax candles? Also, the reason why this matters is because of the witchcraft occult elements of it. So that's why I think that this is important, because blue candle wax, well, actually, I mean, there's a whole spectrum of witchcraft that's based on colored wax. So, I mean, anyone feel free to look it up. I'm not going to be your witchcraft teachers, but it's important. It's now how damning it is. That's kind of what I kind of go back and forth on, because it's like, yeah, how common is this? Like, is it possible that somebody else that could have killed them could have had a blue candle? Yeah, but it is it's very odd.
I mean, I have a ton of candles in my house. I'm sure I probably have one of each color. So, like, if some kid showed up, I mean, I guess the question is, how distinct are different candles from each other? I would think fairly. I mean, I would think the issue would be is if they're so then the question would really be if they're the same brand in my head. Like, the only way that I would feel like you wouldn't be able to distinguish, in my non-expert view here, is that if they were like the same exact brand.
I think it's way more simple than that, though, because what are the odds that somebody who is accused of committing this crime also practices candle magic, and then there's wax found at the scene? It's a little weird, dude.
Yeah, a little sus.
Like, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, on one hand, I get it. It's not the best evidence, but once again, this is on top of blood and confessions and eyewitnesses to all sorts of things. Like,
and once again, we did a whole episode. We did a whole episode on just this, the physical evidence, episode 4. If those who want to get even more in the minutia. I mean, I don't know if there's more you want to go into that. Like I said, people can go dig into that episode. I guess we could, otherwise we can go on to number 4.
Well, as far as what the evidence is, if they want to go look at that. Now, here's the other thing. We probably should, at least at some point, not this episode, but dedicate like 15, maybe 20 minutes to talk about the DNA evidence. Because one of the other material pieces of evidence is shoelace DNA, which couldn't exclude Damien in the 2005 and 2011 testing. We actually don't even have the Damien's lawyers never released it, which I have a good feeling that if they were innocent and that's what the DNA evidence showed in 2011, that their lawyers wouldn't have hid it from the public. Because they're begging for people to believe them that they didn't do this, and all of a sudden they got damning DNA evidence that exonerated them, and they hid that from the public. Get the fuck out of here. There's a reason why their lawyer has not released that information. But yeah, we definitely should talk about the DNA at some point. Just to wrap up, the crime scene evidence, the luminol revealed blood pattern matching Jesse's cleanup description. They found the sticks and branch, which I showed a picture of. Evidence consistent with the blunt force trauma. Shoelace evidence, one lace longer than others, didn't come from the victims. So why the physical evidence is limited? Bodies submerged in water for 18 plus hours, DNA degrades rapidly, muddy drainage ditch environment, heavy rainfall between murder and discovery, scene contaminated by searchers, deliberate cleanup, 1993 DNA technology limitations, like evidence not properly secured early. I mean, to say that there's no evidence, though, is the whole point to this. There's plenty of evidence.
Yeah.
there's physical, there's like I said, primary confessions are primary source evidence, period. They always are, always have been.
All right. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, well, this is like, I guess, yeah. So just to wrap up, 8 separate confessions corroborated by independent facts, details matching crime scenes, consistent core narratives, post-conviction statements, no benefit. I mean,
looks pretty bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now the next argument, really this is, was this satanic panic? Now, obviously this is a topic near and dear to me, but the claim, okay, this is the typical argument, is that the entire investigation was driven by satanic panic hysteria. Police targeted kids because they wore black and listened to Metallica, but not because of real evidence. Well, we went over the whole real evidence part. So now the problems with this argument is that the investigation into Damien, Jason, and Jessie all started because of their behavior, not because of their appearance. So when Damien starts leaking details about the crime scene that only the killer would know at this point, even 3 days in, and then there were details later found out to be true after the autopsies came in and the coroner's report. So I mean, this is a reason why they went back. Not because they were wearing fucking Metallica t-shirts. That's the stupidest argument. Now, this is the propaganda. This is why everyone knows about this fucking story, is because of this whole claim. This was the tail end of the satanic panic. Let's see, 93, 94, 95. I mean, this is the height of the False Memory Syndrome Foundation.
It was like Presidio, McMartin. I believe they're all roughly in that time frame, if I recall correctly. Maybe I'm wrong.
McMartin ended in 90. Presidio was 86.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like the tail end. By the time Paradise Lost comes out, Paradise Lost, the documentary, it comes out and it gets shown to coastal liberal elites. Like a bunch of people that see that documentary. Like, this is what they know of the case. The reason why people disagree with this case largely is because of the propaganda, period. Like, it's because people don't know the details of the case at all. That's why they say that they're innocent. It is that, or they're just completely lying. Because if you know any of these, like, I'm open. If anybody has any evidence to prove why any of this stuff doesn't make sense or why certain things make sense, like, I'm open to hearing this. But if you know these details and you think it's because the police targeted these kids because they listened to fucking Metallica, like, don't insult me. You know, like,
It is kind of interesting though. Yeah, it's a good point. That I mean, it's the West Memphis 3. It has kind of struck me like this is weird. Like, why are people so leaning towards this take? And you're like, but with the satanic panic hand waving, does make sense. The time frame, like hell, it was only probably the last like 5 years. I really feel like that paradigm's kind of been broken to where
Right.
that whole like the people of respectability era seems like people are no longer as concerned with that. People are willing to question these narratives now, whereas
Well,
up until
and
the last
we
few
we
years
are
ago, it
post
was like,
Epstein. We are
yeah,
post Epstein documents
exactly. But
now.
prior Epstein, it was like people would say
hmm
it's almost like a hand wave, like satanic panic. There's nothing to see here. It was like a Jedi trick almost.
Yeah.
Where
Dude, it worked for
yeah.
decades. It
So
worked for
so
decades.
I guess this was the last little oomph of that last little bit of that
hmm
pixie dust they had left for that, because it is kind of
See,
seemed like it doesn't
I think this
comport.
is
Yeah.
I think this is what nailed it home. Like this was the final nail in the coffin for people to ever believe the satanic stuff until recently. Like that documentary came out, and I mean, literally, if you watch the documentary, you will think they're innocent. I did when I first saw it. I first saw the documentary back in maybe 2010, you know? Um, let's see. So it was 95, 96 when it came out. Yeah, I totally thought they were innocent. I mean, I've been on that side. I know what it is.
hmm
But it's just like you just start reading the court case, you start reading what people actually said in court, you start watching video of Damien being confronted with writing an Aleister Crowley made language in jail. Like, what? And you're supposed to believe that this kid wasn't guilty of doing anything. Like, did you read anything? I just don't understand it. It's at the time though, it makes perfect sense. Everyone was coming out of the 80s, right? They were going into the 90s. Everything was a lot more liberal. Bill Clinton. This is post Bush, early Clinton. And I mean, people just wanted to put this to bed. They really wanted to put it to bed. But then up to this point, it was mainly adults, right? It was mainly adults being targeted by the satanic stuff. But now they have the story of satanic panic has now hurt kids. Look at these poor innocent kids. They were picked on. They just listened to Metallica, and then Metallica got involved. And then Peter Jackson got involved. It's like, I don't know, dude. It's, if you still think like there's like satanic panic is a hysteria, that there was like, that's all it was. It was just Christian, like overzealous Christians who were all like whipped up on the fear of Satan. Like that's what you think it is. Like there was that. Like of course
hmm
there was.
Yeah, my mom made me stop reading Harry Potter at the book 4, I think.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I mean,
Not gonna lie, I've always been a completionist. That did bug me a little bit, but
I mean, it still happens, right?
Mhm.
I think it's always going to happen. There is always going to be somebody like that. When people say, like, for instance, because I cover this topic a lot, because, like, for instance, I say that satanic panic is real, that's not to say that that doesn't exist. Because it does. I've experienced it. Dude, I live in Utah. Of course I've
Mhm.
experienced it. Like,
Yeah,
Mormons
no,
can be super judgy, dude.
yeah. I mean, growing up, I remember I used to listen to things like I'd find loopholes for my music because my mom would be like, "That's devil music," and so I ended up starting. That's how I got into like
Right.
a lot of Christian rock. So I'd listen to Under Oath, Norma
Hell yeah.
Jean, like stuff. There's actually surprisingly a lot of pretty
Right.
dope bands that are Christian. I I honestly think it's a direct response to this. It became a big
Kind of,
rise,
yeah.
and there were a lot of Christian kids during this period of time that parents, they wanted cool music, and their parents were like, "You can't be listening to that." So they're like, "Mom, read the lyrics," and you're like, "Oh, well, I mean, I can't be very mad when they're the screamers talking about giving your
Right.
life to Jesus."
Right.
So
Right.
it's like just because it sounds demonic doesn't necessarily mean it is. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
but
And I think that is post Satanic Panic, honestly, it worked out pretty awesome for us because I think a lot of that led to like Warped Tour, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like Warped Tour existed because of that. So, you know, we
Hell
reap
yeah.
the benefits of that. So, but I mean, what we're talking about, like, here's the other side of the argument is that, okay, so there are these like crazy Christians, but on the other side, does that mean that there is nobody that practices witchcraft? Is there nobody that would believe like the four tenets of Satan, that yourself is the most important, you're a god, like morals don't matter unless they do, you know, it's like morals mean whatever, and then I've got to step on other people. I have got to be like, I have actively got to be more ruthless than other people to get ahead in life. And then on top of that, everyone that I'm getting ahead of in life is worse off than me, and I think they should be killed off. Somebody believes that. 18 years old, he can't be talked into doing it or even convincing himself to do this. Let's say he is a lone wolf and he just tricked these other two into doing it. You're telling me that this can't happen? Dude, once again, don't insult me. Like it's not a good argument. I think there are good arguments actually. Maybe we'll address that next show, but you can't look at me and tell me that this couldn't happen based upon the fact that people do out there believe these things. Like there are people out there, especially in a country that prides itself on freedom of religion. Satanism is a protected religion, believe it or not.
Yeah,
so,
it is. All right, I believe we have one more of these arguments for innocence, and then we'll do the other 5 next episode.
Right. So basically, to wrap up the Satanic Panic thing is, look, Satanic Panic was real, probably influenced by how police approached the case. But here's what Satanic Panic can explain. Jessie confessing 8 times with accurate crime scene details, Damien knowing the boys were cut up, one more than the other before the autopsy was public, 3 complete alibi failures, multiple witnesses hearing admissions, physical evidence linking them to victims, the documented violence against animals and children. It might have been 1993, but the police were looking for ritual crimes. The evidence is real, the confessions are real, and the violent history of all 3 boys are real. I mean, I just don't know what else to say. So even with the satanic element, that's the fact of the case. Now, let me scroll down real quick. That one we can go into next time. Let's see. This kind of gets into the next documentary, or the second documentary, Paradise Lost 2, which is kind of important, but I guess we could hit this real quick and get out of here. But John Mark Byers was the murderer. So Christopher Byers' stepfather, John Mark Byers, should be the real suspect. He was violent, had a criminal history, and his behavior was suspicious. I mean, there's quite a bit wrong with this. First of all, the problems with the argument. Issue number 1 is that there's 0 evidence that links Byers to any of the crime. No confessions, no witnesses hearing him admit involvement, no physical evidence linking him to the scene, no knowledge of non-public crime details, no failed alibis, no failed polygraphs. It also takes on a little bit of an interesting take when you realize, and this is super important to understand about John Mark Byers, he was paid to act this way in the documentaries. So when you see him in the documentary, especially the first one. But the entire second documentary was literally a way for them to point the finger at John Mark Byers. You can watch it and they pretty much talk about him the whole time. Like, it's honestly a really boring documentary because they're just trying to point out all of these things. And you can tell because there's so much like footage of him. It doesn't look great. I'll say that. It's like, it's not flattering. He still took the money, you know, but kind of think of people from this region, the demographics.
Yeah, it's a very poor, it looks like a poor white region, you know, kind of poor white trash.
Dirt
like,
poor.
Yeah, so
like,
I mean, this is, I mean, all these
level.
kids are like in different trailer parks, if I recall correctly. So like they're literally
it's
nearby trailer
boys,
park. Yeah.
Like in America.
Boys. It's trailer park boys, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
lots of drug problems, lots of alcohol problems, abuse problems in the home and stuff. And so,
I mean, I don't know this guy, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was like a pillhead or something. And if you're like, you do this money and take a few scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what this guy, I'm just saying the demographic of people.
It is those people, though.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It is those people. So, like, it is what it is. And I mean, this is Arkansas. This is early 90s, you know? I'm not throwing shade. You know, I've done my fair share of drugs. Done
a lot of fucked up shit myself.
Right. So, you know, I'm not like pointing fingers in that aspect.
I was a pillhead for a while. I've talked about that before. So
yeah,
luckily,
I have no room, you know,
so
I have no room to point the fingers as far as that shit goes, but that is the reality of it. So
there was the time if you had paid me some money to ham it up, you know, for whatever you wanted, I would want some pills and I would do that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? But he took the money. And you can't tell me that this documentary was edited honestly. You know, you can see it and you can watch it and see the spin if you know what you're looking for. And I mean, if you watch shows like yours or mine, Austin's, I mean, name any of the people that I'll forget to mention, but watch our shows and you should know at least basics of propaganda, you know, how it functions, to be able to have enough media education, media literacy education to point out what is deceptively edited and what's not. Like, I don't know. If you don't, I mean, I'll explain it. I do all the time, but you gotta watch, you gotta watch it. And there's nothing that looks good, but then you have to ask exactly what's the truth. And the truth is, once again, no confessions, no witnesses, hearing him admit involvement, no physical evidence linking him to the scene, no knowledge of non-public crime details, no failed alibis, no failed polygraphs. They couldn't place him at the scene. They can't explain, or he never was brought up in confessions. I mean, there's nothing linking him. And then there's a deceptive documentary that was made to frame him, basically. So I don't know. I don't know what more people want with that one. And I would be hard pressed to believe that he was like involved, because I've also heard that. Like he was the one like pressuring the kids or whatever. I think that's about it as far as that. Let's see.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you got anything else to say, any final thoughts, but otherwise we're kind of at a perfect spot. We hit all 5.
Yeah.
We can come back and do the other 5 of our next episode. And,
yes.
But
got, the first perfect one to start off on. So
hell yeah. Well, any final thoughts? Otherwise, you can give your plugs and we'll go ahead and get out of here.
No, honestly, I think that's it. It's I think I'll just say, like, I don't want to be right. Like, if these kids, now men, mind you, like, I don't want to keep talking about them like they're kids, because they're not. You know, there's 3 little boys that were murdered, and they never got to be adults. So the people that I believe the state of Arkansas actually put away like actually they were able to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were guilty, are now out. I don't want to keep talking about them as boys, you know? So with that, I don't understand why people can't just accept some of this stuff for what it is, of just like, sometimes life actually does exist. Objective truth is a thing. And these are the objective facts about the case. Like, if these people were innocent, I would also fight for them to be innocent, because I also once believed that they were innocent until I looked at the case. You know, and I just, I mean, I'll keep arguing with people about it. It's fun, but it also, it's like, come on, guys, you know? But I'm excited for the next one. The best place you can find me is onmylinks.com/rise to liberty. That's probably the best place. Go over to my Substack, Beware the Mockingbird, and go check out my Satanic Panic series. I should have a part 2 coming out here in like a day or two. So
awesome. For those who want to support what I'm doing, leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can find the show on YouTube, Rumble, all the major audio podcatchers, and Twitter as well. On Twitter, that's at TowerGangJose. Every other place, it's the No Way Jose podcast. You can find it there. And if you want to support the show the best way you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. You see in the top left-hand corner here, we got a QR code you can use if you prefer to use that. I give you guys a whole host of perks. The low level of $2, I give you access to early episodes. I usually do about 1 to 2 of those per week. Try to keep about 3 to 4 behind the paywall at any given time. Also give you guys access to the ad-free RSS feed, give you access to Telegram, give you access to pre-show, post-show, and video calls on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. I also give a big shout-out to my sponsors. It's the highest level of my Patreon. It's a big thank you for their support. I have my previous co-hosts in Tower Gang, at Learner Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold. Big fan of the show, Torn May, at Wayne Tagless, One Every Car for Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, and Jacob Wintergrad of the Biblical Anarchy Podcast. With that, guys, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you on the next one. If you want to make sure you're getting these as soon as you can, go to the Patreon, because hell, we had like 3 of these behind the paywall for a little while. I think we're caught up now, but we're liable to get in the same position again. So with that, we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.